My timer too. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Vital Statistics. I'm your host, Shemetris Vital, and this is our youth and young adult talk show right here on WESL Radio, Praise 1490. So this week, as in always, I told you guys we were finally bringing back the segment that I believe most of you enjoy, When Wisdom Speaks. So this is our segment that we will do every third Wednesday of the month. And first up, hitting this off for the spring semester, that's what I'm gonna call it, I guess, because I'm talking to young people all the time. So I think in semesters and school time, that's where my mind kind of goes, is the Martins. I call them Granny and Poppy. They're not my Granny and Poppy, but that's the name they've been given. But their last name is Martin. So we got Mr. and Mrs. Martin, and I'm gonna let them introduce themselves, say hello, and then I guess I want you guys to tell us, if you don't mind, how long you've been married, how many kids you got, how many grandkids you got, you know, all that kind of stuff, because this is called When Wisdom Speaks. So that means you guys aren't embarrassed about your age or nothing. Oh, wait, let me say this. This is a sidebar. It took them less than 5 minutes to get online for recording. They were even able to hang up and dial back in. Now, you guys have seen the shows that I have done with our college students and our high schoolers, and it took them, you will find out their age and how long they've been married and all this in a few minutes, but this was so easy for them. Why is it harder for the people who were born during this generation to get logged into social media? That's exactly what this is. So I just wanted to put that out there. They did better than the young people. All right, it's y'all's turn.
My name is Imelda Lamont Martin, and I've been married to this handsome guy for 50 and a half years. It'll be 51 years, June 10th.
Wow, that's a long time.
Long time. Can't believe it.
I know.
Introduce yourself.
I'm Reginald Martin. And yeah, you tell the truth. You've been married that long. But it's all good. And I will be 71 next month. Yeah. And I'm going to give y'all my address so you can send all the gifts and things to me. You know, I'll tell you what I want. You know.
He wants some real expensive cowboy boots. Made out of what? But anyway, I think his kid's gonna buy him that. But anyway.
Okay, so how many kids do you guys have? How many grandkids?
We have 5 kids, 2 boys, 3 girls. The boys are the oldest. We have 12 grandchildren, 9 granddaughters, and 3 grandsons.
Wow, so does that keep you guys busy?
Oh my God, yes.
Oh yeah.
How old is your youngest grandchild?
Christopher
is 11, 10.
Yeah.
He's 10.
Yeah.
And how old's your oldest grandchild?
She just made 21.
21.
21. So 21 down to 10, huh?
Yes.
10.
Yes.
9 girls, and you said 3 boys?
Yeah.
Right.
And they get along real good together, actually, too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So what is your favorite thing about being grandparents?
Them loving on us. We like to do things for the grandkids, and just simple stuff. Okay. Back in the day when we were catering, every time they came to our house, I would bake racks of cookies. So I was the cookie granny. And all of a sudden, they started trying my gum. I chew Trident, the square Trident gum, and it actually helps with my digestion. But all of them decided they wanted some of my gum. They at first didn't like it because it was wintergreen, you know, the mint flavor. But that didn't last long. So now I have to buy packages. It's now called Granny Gum. It's not Trident anymore. And so I always I have to have gum when I hit the door. And I just start passing it out. So anyway.
I think I've seen that with you, that when I've been around and they're, Granny, you got some gum?
Yes, that's the gum they're talking about. So, but he's played Polly Pockets with the kids. We play a lot of board games with the grandkids. They call us sometimes for counsel to talk. Not much at all. But sometimes 1 or 2 of them will call. And But we just enjoy family time because we all play board games and laugh and talk and dance and sing and, just a little bit of everything. So just everyday normal stuff, I think.
As being grandparents, what's your favorite thing about being a parent? Obviously, before the grandkids came around,
we just got a pop-up screen saying "Countdown to goodness." We're all set to do the restart you schedule.
Well, let me say this here.
No, I think you're fine.
No. Oh, it says restart now. I got to pick a time. Wait just a minute.
Okay.
That's updating my Microsoft. And it never gave me a choice to pick a time.
Well, let me say this. The favorite thing about being a parent versus being a grandparent is that you learn to be more loving towards the grandkids than what you do with your own kids. Now, don't get me wrong. We love our kids very much. But I think the love was a whole lot more for your grandkids. You spoil them and all of this.
Yeah, you don't have to discipline them as much.
And then sometimes, the kids think, well, y'all didn't do me that way. But now, some of them have kids right now, okay, and they're going to see when their grandkids tell them what's this all about. This has been going on for years, But the favorite part is responsibility. When you have kids, you got to be responsible, towards your kids, okay? We were kind of more strict, and don't get me wrong, we're strict with the grandkids right now.
Yeah, we are.
But that's only to a point. We kind of let them get away with a little bit more than our kids.
But
did.
not much.
That's going to always be the case.
Not much, because they scared of me.
But as far as loving the kids, we love the kids, we love the grandkids, and we never did have any favorites. And if you have kids,
wow,
whenever you have kids, do not have any favorites. Everyone should be favorite, So
we kind of discipline our kids and spoil them.
There. You can cause all kind of problems when you say, well, I like this one better than the other, my favorite. You never do that. You never, ever, ever do that. All of your kids are favorite.
We actually disciplined our kids a lot, but we also spoil them. And I know people don't know that you can do both of those things, but you can. That means they're not being disciplined 24/7. They have people who do that. The finger on the thumb on everything. And we didn't do that. We gave them breathing time. And
we didn't run no oppressive regime.
No.
Nothing like that, But I mean, it was just a matter of being, strict parents. That's what it was. That's what you have to be. You got to be in control. You got to let your kids know who's the boss. Okay.
But we don't have to do that with the grandkids. They have to do that with them. So.
Well, that's good. And you should always know that, obviously, for any young person that's listening to this, hopefully maybe you can tell your parents if you feel like they have favorites. Be like, Mom, Dad, we listened to this more seasoned couple, and they said you should never have favorites. You should treat us all like, spend time with us and so forth. And that is definitely good advice, I think, for sure. Because I think growing up, you always feel like your parent has a favorite over the other one. And so it's good to hear you guys say, we try to treat everybody.
I'll say it again. Never, ever, ever have a favorite. They're all your favorite.
That's good.
All kind of problems. You don't need that. Love all your kids.
I like that. So to my co-host, you guys, I have Sorrel joining me, co-hosting today. Let's see if he has any questions for you guys.
Sure.
Hi, everyone. So while you were talking, I was thinking, that's amazing. Like, don't favorite, because I am the youngest of 4. And before my dad passed away, I just felt like this sense of kind of like favoritism. Like, he was a little bit closer to my sister and my brothers than me, but I was still his little girl. And so my mom, after he passed, kind of taught me, like, I love you all, like, with everything in me. And there's no reason for me to love you more, or, you're all my children. And so I think it's so important to not favorite, like you said. And my question to you would be, since you've been together for so long, what is like that driving force behind your marriage? What keeps you together? What keeps it going after such a long time? We need to know, because I think it will inspire us.
Well, you got to have a sense of God. You got to have a sense of purpose. You got to believe, that whatever, just keep it real. And whatever you do, keep it real. Don't try to be fake or phony and nothing like that. And just be transparent. And if you know things are wrong, don't get involved in it. Just treat everybody right. And most of all, be true to yourself. If you can't be true to yourself, how are you going to be true to someone else? Just keep it real. Knowing there's a God out there and you're trusting in God. And, in a marriage, you're going to have good times. You're going to have bad times. And bad time is not necessarily, something, that's horrific or something like this here. But bad times could be, that you may lose a job. You may go through some kind of sickness or what have you. But knowing that God is still there, God is the key, and knowing that you will overcome. And I would tell anyone, whenever you're going through bad times, hard times, I want you to think back some years back of some of the hard times that you've been through. And then you think, man, I went through this here, but look at me now. And if you're going through something today that's bad, just think back, because it'll change. So always, trust in the good Lord, keep it real, treat everybody right, and you'll overcome that.
Yeah. I love how go ahead.
My take on this is, we did not go into marriage saying, well, if it don't work out, you've already condemned your marriage when you say, well, if it don't work out, I get a divorce. That's not an option unless, your life is in danger, because you can pray and things can change. And you have to love that person enough to want to change. He and I both have been on a journey together, and we have grown and changed. But it's only through God. A lot of people don't have enough God in their life. And studying the Bible, reading the Bible, praying daily, it is essential. And we didn't start out that way. We started out young, struggling, having kids, one right after the other. They kind of all grew up together. Some of them were 3 years apart, 5 years apart. But for the most part, we had the kids and got them out of the way, and of having kids. But it's, so there are growing pains in a marriage, because you're two different people, and you have to respect that. And over time, God will help you through everything. But that's essential. We are in this compatibility thing. He and I are very different. He loves horror movies and news, and I don't. I like Hallmark, and I like magical movies, and I like the 1700s and 1800s, but sometimes I'll watch those horror movies with him, even though it keeps me up and he goes to sleep like that. So he always wants me to watch at least one, and I try to get through it.
Misery loves company.
Yes, it does. Yeah. But in our latter years, we found a lot of common ground. We developed things that you're continuing, believe it or not, you continue to discover, because you change over time. And we continue to discover. And I look at him like, I didn't know you thought like that, and stuff. And
I'm very intellectual.
And we, loving somebody is not the same as liking them. And I actually like him.
You don't love him?
I've always loved you, silly. But when you actually like that person, it makes all the difference in the world. When at moments you don't like him, I get on his nerve a lot. and he gets on my nerves sometimes. And
but I want to, kind of switching up the subject. I want to say something about the belief in God and church. Now, a lot of young people who go to church, I wish some young folks, when they go to church, they would go to a church to worship God and not the pastor. Okay, I say that because it's pretty sad these days when you have the mega churches and people go there because, oh, this pastor speaks good and all this right here. But you don't go to church to worship, the pastor go to church to worship God because, a lot of pastors, they do wrong also, see. And when you go to church, go in there believing, that you're going to receive, and go in there, to work and get an understanding. And sometimes the pastor, they can come off with a topic and it's going to be altogether different from what's in the Bible. But go to church, trust in God, and just work in the church and just be true and just keep it real.
Yeah.
If you're just now tuning in, we are about at our halfway mark of our show, at the top of the top half, and you are listening to WSL Radio, our youth and young adult talk show. I'm your host, Shemetris Vital. This is Vital Statistics, and we are interviewing the Martins today for our When Wisdom Speaks segment. And so some of the nice information that they gave us today, I think that are some good tidbits, is, when talking about children, they've been married for over 50 years. They're in their 70s. They have 5 children, 12 grandkids. And one of the things that they said was never play favorites with your kids. Always make sure that you spend equal time with them. You want your kids to know that they are all loved equally. Also, be careful of the words that you speak into your marriage, even in the beginning, because those words will follow you through the rest of your marriage, and making sure that prayer is the main focus of your marriage. Also, being able to entertain each other's interests, whether you like doing something or not, but being able to entertain the other person's interests. And then loving someone is not the same as liking them. You can actually love someone and not like them. But as far as they're concerned, they're like, we both like each other and we both love each other. And last but not least, Mr. Martin just spoke to us about, just for young people in general, and this is for everybody, really, truth be told, and I think it's a wisdom nugget, is that we should not be going to church for the pastor. We should be going to church for God. So be careful of who you say that you're worshiping or find yourself worshiping, because going to church just for the fact that, oh, I love to hear this pastor preach, but what about the God in them? So you should be going to your church for the God in them. So as we move forward into this session and the next 10 to 15 minutes, Surreal is also joining me, our junior co-host for the season. And so she's been asking some great questions. And so we're going to go back, and Mr. and Mrs. Martin, I want you guys to talk about what is your fondest memory as a teenager? And then you're going to also answer it, what is your fondest memory as a young adult?
Well, I think I got to go into the attic and dust off some things to try to find out.
My fondest memory as a teenager, I think, was going to the dances. We used to go to the Y every Friday, and what we call back in the day sock hop, or I think senior year was pretty cool. We didn't do that much, but just being a senior and graduating from high school. But I like dances and music. He is a music fanatic, every kind of. The kids were exposed to all kind of music, every day, all the time. They could blues and roll and jazz and everything. And also what they used to call quiet time. Oh, mama, turning that station to the quiet time. Because I used to
elevator music.
So they heard a little bit of everything in our house when it comes to music. Being a young couple, young adult, man, we went out every Friday with family members, to the club scene was the thing during our time. And it was a safe place to go to and really have fun, dance and socialize and like fellowship. But when the kids got older, my husband said, okay, we can't go out if they're out. We have to be home. So if something happens, when somebody knocks on our door to ask where the kids are, that something happened, we need to be here. So that was something that he was adamant about. We actually went to a ball and he left the ball and went to pick them up from their party when they were even older and brought them home and secured them and then came back to the dance. Stuff like that. So we had a lot of family gatherings at our house as young adults. Having 40 people at our house every Sunday was a norm. And we had the patio door open and the kids was running in and out playing basketball in the backyard. So all of my nieces and nephews grew up together. So we were family oriented and still are. So that was year after year after year. Every baptism, every graduation, every first communion, because we were Catholic, we're not now, every confirmation, every birthday, 5 birthdays a year, there was always a party or a celebration. And it was mostly family. So we actually had to have birthday parties eventually for the kids and just invite the kids in their class so they could have their classmates at their parties. So we had lots of family time. So our kids were exposed constantly to old people, grandparents, great-grandparents, aunts and uncles who were up in age. So when they had their high school graduations, their friends would drop in briefly because it wasn't a dark room for teenagers to dance in the dark. And when they leave, I remember distinctly the boys, Reggie and Roland, running over to us and grabbing my mom and me so we could dance some Zydeco music from Louisiana. It didn't even bother them that their friends didn't stay because they grew up in that atmosphere of the whole family being involved. Every baby shower, the whole family was invited. So
some of the fun things that I remember as a teenager coming up, I recall the times when I was in school and had a lot of friends. I enjoyed school and just being around my classmates and going to the different classrooms, and I enjoyed the schoolwork. It just was a good environment. And I also recall the neighborhood we lived in. We used to play football in the streets. We didn't have no big football field to go to because, back during that time, black folks hadn't progressed as much as we are today. When you got neighborhoods, you got big parks and fields and what have you. And we used to play streets. Like if we lived on one street, we would play a street, the kids who lived on one street, 12 or 15 blocks over, to see who was going to be the winner. Mm-hmm. And this was a lot of fun. I recall getting my first record player and playing the old 45 records with the disc in it. And I recall also coming up, listening on the radio to this old radio station coming out of Tennessee. And I can't think of the name of it right now. As a matter of fact, I think it's still on the air. And that was the thing back during the day. And we would just sit around and just listen to all the new songs and things that would come out. And it was just a lot of fun back during that time. I didn't hang around. There were people during that time, kids my age, who were involved with drinking, doing drugs, who were also just messing around with girls and doing things. And I just thought this was detestable. I didn't care for this. I just didn't like that. I just didn't like being around people like that. As a matter of fact, I enjoyed being a teenager. I enjoyed my time. And I would say if enjoy your life right now. Enjoy your time as you're a child. Enjoy your time as a teenager, because once you grow up and you look back at all those things you did, you can't reclaim that time. Like Maxine Waters said, you can't reclaim that time, okay? That time is gone. So enjoy your life right now. Do not do things to make your life miserable. Leave the drugs alone. Don't hang around with all these people, who have a lot of baggage and all of this there. And if they try to get you to, hey, follow me, I recall some boys, how they would tell me they would take the girls down to Galveston during prom. And if they didn't do what they wanted to do, they would leave them there on the beach. And I just thought, it was just sick. And even I done raised my boys like that. Didn't raise my girls like that. That's why you got to keep it real. You got to be responsible. You got to do your job, because you only have this one life to go through, and you want to enjoy this life, and you want to leave an impression on your kids too. And so, like I said, I just enjoyed my teenage years, and then as a young adult, well, got married kind of early, but that's all right. Good Lord was with us, and we took care of our family. We were, like she said, we were involved, with all of the family, and it was good. Don't have no regrets. Don't have anything to go back and just feel ashamed of and all of this here. And all I can say right now to the young folks, if you are involved in something right now, it is not right physically or mentally, stop. Leave it alone. Do not let anybody tell you otherwise. I'm letting you know right now, enjoy your life. Maxine says, reclaim your time. Reclaim it right now. Enjoy your life.
Yeah, I think that is so, so good. And as you guys were talking, I was just thinking when you were explaining the good times that you used to have and still have, but as a youth and young adults, I just thought, like, where did those times go? I feel like me being 18, it's not as authentic and original and like just chill, I guess, how you guys explain it and how you felt in that time. It's just different. And even now, what do you feel like is the disconnect with the world today versus when you guys were teenagers, involving like even like events, and we hear the clubs getting shot up, and you just went to the club to have a good time, and now it's like to get a boyfriend and girlfriend and to have sex with different people. So what do you think was the disconnect from when you were teenagers to now, this millennial generation?
I remember
Answer that in 2 minutes. We only got 2 minutes on this side.
I remember distinctly, not my generation. Yeah, my generation saying, I am not, this is key, going to raise my kids the way my parents raised me, and turn the tables. And they regret it.
And then also, I want to say this is true. I know there's a lot of rap artists out there, a lot of rap musicians, okay? Now, believe it or not, I like some rap music. I really do. But there's some rap music I just think it's just awful. Because when I first heard some of the cussing and the violence in the rap music, I recall when I was going to school, if you walk down the hallways and you cuss or something like this here, hey, the teacher pulled you to the side, and really chew you out, or you go to the office, what have you. And if you couldn't do that in the classroom, now they're coming out with this on songs, and then you're driving down the street and people got that music up real loud, and cussing and the vulgarity and all of that. I mean, you ought to have some decency for yourself, not to have all of that. If that's what you like, well, maybe nobody else don't want to hear all of that. But you think everybody got to hear all of that vulgarity and, I'm going to shoot your mama, cut this and that. Well, that's uncalled for. Like I say, enjoy your life. You go through this thing once. Do not do things that's going to bring you down. Enjoy your life. Enjoy your teenage years. Enjoy your adult years. And when you got kids, enjoy your kids. And be responsible. Keep it real.
Well, we are going to keep it real. You are listening to Vital Statistics right here on WSL Radio. I'm your host, Shemetris Vital for Vital Statistics. Our junior co-host, Surreal, is joining us today, and we are interviewing the Martins, who have been married over 50 years, have 5 children and 12 grandkids. And on this last segment, just been asking some different questions about life, and we are going to take a quick break. But I think the one thing that I got consistently through their conversation is enjoy your life. But if you are involved in something that you know is not going to take you somewhere, and you know, young people, if it's a good thing or a negative thing, you need to let those things go now. And then he also, something else that was very prevalent was that enjoying your life now, because you will not have another chance at this life. You can't reclaim time once it's already passed. So you've got to enjoy where you are. And I am a firm believer of that as a young person, that you don't have to rush into relationships, marriage, and all those kinds of things. Just enjoy the time. Get to know you. Enjoy you. So we are going to take a break, and we will be right back with the Martins. Okay, so that's just my cut for recording, but it's still recording on here. But when I cut the audio, it'll allow for me to cut. So how do y'all feel so far as where we're at? And I want to get y'all to speed up some of your answers so that we can get more stuff out of you.
Okay.
All right.
Surreal, do you have anything that you want to make sure that you get in this next segment? I think I've asked them about their past, young adult, and you asked a good question of what has happened between, and I think that's a good thing to come back on, because I think I understood from what you guys were saying, Ms. Martin, was that you said that possibly the regret is that parents stop raising their kids the way that they were raised. But if we actually kept our finger on our kids the way we were raised, we probably wouldn't have half the problems we have, because literally parents really just stopped raising kids, right? I'm guessing that's kind of about
some of the households. Absolutely.
Say that again.
Kids started running households.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You see it in the stores. You see it everywhere.
Okay. Let's see. Okay. So I know I want to ask you guys, I'm looking at the questions that, so Surreal, you could ask some of these unless you already have one. What's your greatest failure and what did you learn from it? Whether it was your young adult or teenage life. Mm-hmm. Probably at the end of the show, I'll ask you, although I think you've already said it. I was about to say Poppy, but Mr. Martin, you've already said enjoy your life. What advice do you have for teens today? Obviously, we've heard that over and over, is just to enjoy your life. Oh, this will be a good one to ask. What are your thoughts on voting? So that'll definitely be something that we want to hit on with election, because that's something that you guys do and you are very big at that. And then
you want the answer right now?
No. I'm just giving you some little prep so that way Surreal can hear some of the things that I want to ask. And so if I don't ask him, she can ask him. I
did have a question. I don't know if it's really relevant or not, but you, Miss Martin, you said that you went from Catholic to Christian, both of you. Okay. And I think that Catholic, that really popped out at me.
Non-Catholic, because Catholics are Christians too.
Okay.
Catholic to non-Catholic, because we all believe in the same God and we all believe in Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think I wanted to know more about that, because there are a lot of people I went to school with that like were Catholic and have not gone from Catholic to non-Catholic. So I would kind of like to hear how you guys did that and why.
All right, let me explain it to you. She was brought up Catholic, okay? And when we got married in the Catholic Church, and we were there for decades. She was a lifetime Catholic. And back during the 70s or the 80s, when Black people was really coming on strong with their blackness and what have you, we was in this Black Catholic church, which always had these Josephite priests, which was mostly white. And when we were interjecting African music and the African flag and the African stuff to promote our blackness,
our culture.
Yeah, our culture. The priests who came there did not care for this here. And there was a lot of people there from Louisiana who were set in their ways because a lot of people, from Louisiana, they're Catholic, in South Louisiana. And so a big rift came up. And so we left the church. Then we was looking for another church. So we went to this church in another part of town because, I kind of wanted to go to a church where I knew some people there, what have you. And it was a Methodist church. So we went to this Methodist church. My uncle was there, and we were well received by the people, and we really enjoyed the church. And it was a difference in Methodism, even though it's somewhat similar to Catholicism. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't that we just set out to say, I'm going to leave, the Catholic Church, that we're going to leave the Catholic Church to join the Methodist Church. So we went to this Methodist Church, and lo and behold, we met other people there that we went to school with. And we enjoyed the experience there. So we stayed there for about 14 or 15 years. And we moved out of the city in another cross town in another city, but like a suburb, what have you. And it was getting a bit too hard to go to this church. So we found another church, and this was a Baptist church. And we just happened to be passing by one day, and we checked it out. And then we decided to go there, and we enjoyed the preaching there. And it was
in a marriage ministry there.
Yeah, because now we were involved always in church. We have always tithed. We have always been involved in the youth ministry, the food ministry, various things.
Worship ministry. Different
things in church. We have always been active involved. So it wasn't so much as we just set out to go head on and, leave Catholic, become Methodist and this,
I just believe God leads you when you go to another level.
We wasn't,
your Christian walk.
We wasn't church hopping because we don't do that, because we was at the Catholic Church a long time and at the Methodist Church, a long time also. And then once we left there, we went to the Baptist Church until we moved from out of Houston, to here in Dallas. Now we do attend the church here in Dallas, and it's a
Assembly of God.
It's an Assembly of God. But I don't really want to join that church yet. It's a very good church because I don't really want to go through another program to fit to be an Assembly of God after being, going through Methodism and Catholicism and Baptist. So we attend church and we tithe, but our trust is in God above. We trust Him. So it's not so much, that we wanted to be a Baptist or a Methodist. That wasn't the case. Now that's different, our circumstances was different. But see, some people, they shop around, for different churches and different religions. No, we wasn't doing that.
But our eyes was open to the fact that we needed to be fed more. We've always looked for a Bible-based church where they preach the Bible. And we just grew in our walk with God. Yeah. And we outgrew the Catholic Church. And what helped was the dissension, these priests who, stripped the altar down from all of that stuff. And you strip people's spirit when you do that.
But through it all, it was an experience to see the mechanics of the Catholic Church, the Baptist Church, and the Methodist Church. Mm-hmm. And really, when you put them all together, the one thing we all have in common is the belief in the good Lord above right there. Right. We serve Him. Because a lot of the other stuff, that's just man-made right there. Mm-hmm. Follow me?
Got it. Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to go back so I can start the recording again for our second half. So obviously that was during our break session. So you good on that one, Sorrel? You got your answer?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, so I want to hit some of these other questions that I spoke about, but we're going to go into our next segment. And so we got about 27 minutes. So like I said, if we can at least try to, you don't have to try to rush through your answer, but at least, some of them try to shorten. Okay. All right, everyone, and we are back. You are listening to WSL Radio Vital Statistics, our youth and young adult talk show. I'm your host, Shemetris Vital, and joining me on this segment today is our junior co-host, Surreal. She has been on a couple of times before, and she is helping us move through this interview. Today is When Wisdom Speaks, and I am talking to Mr. and Mrs. Martin. So if this is your first time tuning in for the day, they've been married 50 years. They have 5 children and 12 grandkids. And so they have been giving us advice from their point of view in the world we live in today. And this, I believe, is so important. I didn't say this at the top of the show, but the reason why we are continuing these When Wisdom Speaks segments is because we live in a special time just in life in general, that we have more than one generation walking the earth, and God has allowed for them to be here and us to be here with them. And I believe so that we can take away some of the best wisdom nuggets from them, either before God calls us home or before God calls them home. But either way, we want to take in the wisdom, because that's something that we lack. We tend to not talk to those people who are more seasoned than us, because we think that we know it all. And that is not the case. God has allowed for people to be older than you are so that you can gather nuggets and wisdom. And I think what I was told a long time ago is that if you're willing to listen to somebody that's already been there, done that, then it should shorten the time of what you have to go through, because you're willing to have listened and learned to someone else who's already walked through that portion of life. Yes, I believe everybody's got to learn how to bump their head. They're on their own. But at the same time, why do you have to bump your head if somebody's already been there, done that, and they can teach you the most valuable lesson? They've already done it. So I hear them kind of laughing and chiming in. So y'all can go straight in from there if you want to.
That is a good point to start on. When Reggie, our oldest, went away to college, he came home one day and he sat me at the kitchen table and said, "Mama," he said, I'm in college now. And, he was 18 or 19. And he said, when I come home, I was just wondering, shouldn't things be different? So I kind of looked at him and I thought, he came to me first because I was the yes person to the kids, and his dad was the no person. And then one day I realized, I need to, veto. He vetoed everything. So he was in the living room and I called him over, and I told him what Reggie wanted to ask. He said, "Well, Reggie, you still live at 222 Pennsylvania, right?" "Yeah." "Yes, Daddy." "We still pay the light bill and the gas and buy your clothes, and we still do this, that, and the other." And, and he said, "Yes, Daddy." He said, "Then you still have to come home and put out the garbage." So we were in Houston this past weekend. Oh, before I called him over, I reminded Reggie, I said, "You were just 18 yesterday. It hasn't been 24 hours. Give it 4 years. I go to Houston this weekend. 5 granddaughters celebrated their birthdays this month of March, plus our baby daughter Zena, so it's 6 March birthdays. And one of my granddaughters, Michaela, said, "Granny, I want to talk to you. I was coming downstairs." So we sat at the dining room table, and she said, "I just think things are going to be different this year." Because she's graduating from high school. She will be 19 on the 24th. And I said, I've had this conversation before. So I told her about her Uncle Reggie and the conversation we had with him. And she said, "Well, won't it be more fun for me to be grown?" I said, "You're going to have some fun, but you need to think about the fun you're having now." I said, "Right now, your mom buys all the toiletries, all of this." I said, "And if you take your little money, when you get a job, all y'all think about is the car you're going to buy." I said, "You don't have a car. You don't have nothing that you own. You don't even have a job. And you're thinking about being grown." I said, "Michaela, on March 23rd, how old will you be?" She frowned and said, 18. And I said, "On the 24th, you'll be 19, right?" "Yes." And I said, "That's just one day." I told her what I told Reggie. You need to look down the road, and you need to come back and talk to me 4 years from now, when you have a stable job, a job that you can work well on, do well, and then be able to buy a car, get an apartment, pay all of your bills, the light, gas. When you buy a car, you've got to get inspection sticker every year. All they think about is the car note, not the tires you have to replace, not the car insurance. It's going to cost you 3 to 5 times as much because of your age and all that stuff. So, but anyway.
I just want to say this here. If you have your parents living right now, go to them and tell them, say, Mama, I love you. Daddy, I love you. And give them a hug. Do it today. If your mama and your father is living right now, that goes a long way. You may even catch them by surprise. You will be surprised how much wonders that can do. They would love to hear those words instead of, them being someone that's just buying you this and doing that. But to say those words, that goes a long way. So if you hear me out there, your mom, your dad is living, don't care who's around, say, Mama, I love you. Daddy, I love you. And give them a big hug. Do it while they're living. You'll be surprised.
We had to struggle because, we don't have college degrees, but we've come a long way and we have a lot of wisdom. And our kids, when they went away to college, they felt that they didn't have a lot. Mm-hmm. And when they started going to their college friends' homes, one of them was extremely wealthy that lived in San Antonio, but their parents were not there. Our kids had breakfast, lunch, and dinner 7 days a week. We ate as a family together 7 days a week. They didn't go in their room. We didn't split up. It was family. They didn't see that at this rich boy's house. Then they went to this other boy's house in Louisiana who went to the mall every day at school, had money in a bank account, and they envied him until they went to his house and his grandmother and mother was sending him to college and they had a tin roof and the house was that big. They had enough courage to come home and they were mature enough to come home and tell us that they were sorry, that they felt that they were deprived. And
they can tell you how many family members that we have taken in and fed them and stayed with us.
Yeah. But anyway,
I was going to ask you guys, how long did it take, just because even for myself, where I'm at in my life, how long did it take before your kids came back and told you, you were right? Because early on as a young adult, you don't think your parents are right. They don't know what they're doing. But then as you approach, I'm going to say over 25 or so is usually when the reality really, really hits that you're like, you know what, Mom, you were right. And it's funny listening to parents now. Like I was just at a conference over the weekend and was like, somebody was talking. She said, my kids never hear what I say, but if someone else says it, then they hear it all of a sudden. So in your experience as parents and grandparents, how long did it take before your kids, I mean, you just kind of gave an example before all of the kids came back and was like, Mom, Dad, you were right. Have your grandkids said it yet to you?
How long did it take?
Yeah, I mean, did it take them years before they could finally admit you were right?
They were still in college.
No.
They were in college.
But I want to say something. You brought something up about somebody else telling their kids, maybe giving them some words of advice. Mm-hmm. One thing a parent ought to not do, if somebody is giving your child some good advice, you as a parent should not feel threatened. You should not get upset, be angry about it. And I've seen this happen. I would much rather a stranger out there give my child some good advice because, God places angels before us every day. And you don't know when you're being entertained in the presence of angels. And it's a shame that some people get all upset because, well, that's my kid. They shouldn't be doing this. They said, no, if it's the right thing, I'm all for that.
Yeah, don't matter.
See,
as long as they get the right word.
And this message to the parents. But I know we talking to kids now, though, young kids.
No, but you have their parents are part of this audience as well. So that's definitely good advice to hear, because you do hear that from a lot of parents. It's like, man, I just told them that last week, and then so-and-so told them, and then all of a sudden it just clicked. But, I think you're right.
But that's just affirmation when somebody else tell that, Absolutely. So you should even feel good about that, but to get upset about it,
nah,
you shouldn't do that. But anyhow, let's move on.
That's good. Sorrel, do you have a question for them?
I do. I wanted to ask, what are your goals? I think that some people get to a certain age, like 50, but I believe 50 is the new 30. Because my mom just turned 50, and I'm like, yes, your life is just now getting started. So what are your goals? What do you guys still want to accomplish in life?
Well, to be quite frank with you, my goal is to work at retirement. I'm retired, and I work very hard at retirement. I do better at retirement than I do at work. I'm just being very serious. I enjoy retirement. Of course, when we work in the church, we do work in the church, and we do work, during the election. But there's really no other big deal out there and all that. It's just take life as it is every day, treat people right, enjoy life, and that's pretty much where I'm at right now. I don't want to be going to no school for those several years, and all of this and all of that. Why? I'm 71 years old. Let me tell you this. Some people say, you're never too old to learn. I agree with that. But learn don't necessarily have to be in school all the time either. You can learn through life every day.
You can learn watching Jeopardy. We love Jeopardy.
You understand what I'm saying? True. And I look at the news a lot. Okay.
All day.
I look at the news and I read different, magazines and articles and stuff like this. So that's pretty much, and like I say, I work very hard at retirement. I just love retirement.
We socialize with family and friends that are retired. We travel. We get up every morning and we drink our coffee, and then we decide after that what we're gonna have for breakfast. My daughter-in-law said, "Mom, you're setting a bad example. Y'all sit together and eat. Now my husband wants to do that. Not my fault."
But in reality, the main goal is to encourage one another, like what we're trying to do right now. Okay, to lift one another up. Okay, you can do this here. Well, I'm going to go to this school. I'm going to get this degree. I'm going to get that. I'm not knocking that. I'm not knocking education. I think that's a good thing. But at a certain point in life, one should know where they are and what they feel. And I feel comfortable about myself, and I watch my kids. They go to school and get other degrees, and I'm real proud of them, and I'm happy for them. But me, I just love my retirement.
Mm-hmm. A lot of people say they can't retire. But we have a whole bunch of family and friends.
I don't know what to do.
Haven't had a problem retiring. We don't miss a day from work.
I know what to do. I know, boy, look here. But 6 o'clock in the morning come around, I look at the clock. Oh, well, let me turn back over and take me another wink.
No, when it's raining, he would wake me up talking about, "Boo, you don't have to go to work today." I said, "Okay, thank you." And I turn over and go to sleep because we retired. And he just be picking on me like that. But
look, don't let what I'm saying now knock off what you're doing. But you pay those dues, and retirement is,
and it's
what's
in your spirit.
What you have achieved.
Now, I'm actually going to a small group. Our church wants to eradicate racism in the congregation. And our church is mixed with 40, 50, 60 different nationalities. White, Mexican. It's very, very diverse. And so they wanted to start in the church first. So I'm going to a small group. So I do stuff like that. I go to intercessory prayer on Tuesdays. I'm an intercessory prayer warrior. And I love my husband praying over me. The Bible talks about the husband praying over the wife, and that's significant. We pray together over people and for people and stuff like that, and we pray separately. So
that's pretty much our goals in a nutshell right there. It's not nothing,
We don't even know what we're going to have for lunch right now.
On the grand scale of things out there, but
I don't feel like cooking. He'll eat cereal or fix a sandwich. You don't care.
Well, but this is so good. I love that. I have so many questions. I could talk to you guys all day because it's like you are fulfilled. Like you've lived your absolute best life and you're like, I have no worries. The Bible says not to worry about tomorrow. Don't worry about what you'll eat tomorrow. Don't worry about what you'll wear the next day. And so I think sometimes, like, especially in this generation, anxiety is a huge thing right now. But like you guys are saying, we don't even know what we're eating in the next hour. And it's like, we'll be freaking out. Oh my God, what are we going to eat? it's like, it's okay. Just relax. And God, you know, he'll tell you what you need to eat. And so I think
the freezer is full, the refrigerator is full. And like he said,
yeah,
if you want Popeyes, he go get Popeyes. But you have to
you
stay
got Popeyes chicken up there?
Mm-hmm.
You like Popeyes?
You have to stay in the word to gain that peace, because Satan is always around the corner ready to disturb it. And you have to recover from those disturbances. You can't stay in depression. You can't stay worrying, because the Bible says if you worry, don't pray. If you pray, don't worry, let it go and see how God is going to work it out, or how he's going to tell you to work it out.
Yeah. And speaking of the enemy, what do you believe as a couple has been your greatest failure, even as a young adult or youth? What do you feel like was your greatest failure, and what did you learn from that experience?
You know, some things I don't really look at as a failure. I look at some things that, oh, well, this is just a part of life. You know, this is just, you know, a little, you know, bump in the road. And I think, you know, you ought to not look at things so much as a failure. Nobody wants to be a failure. Remember that. Remember, it's just a bump in the road, and you keep on going. It's not so much as a failure. Okay?
The word
so
of
that's
God
why
also said when you make a mistake, learn from it. And Jesus said, don't sin anymore.
Exactly. Because when you think of it as a failure, then you're going all through life. Well, I was a failure at this.
Right.
But remember one thing.
You carry the guilt.
My grandmother used to tell me many years ago, nothing beats a failure but a try. So when you try something and it didn't succeed, you didn't fail.
And I think that when you've made mistakes or did something that harmed you or a family member, husband, wife, kids, you have to recognize it and then rectify it. And you have to say that you're sorry.
But keep the word failure out. It's so negative right now.
Yeah, because like for example, being a parent, if you're a parent for the first time, you're going to make mistakes. And each one of your kids are different. So you're going to react to them differently. So you only have one chance. I mean, if we could go back, there are some things we wouldn't have done or would have done. You know, but you can't go back.
You know what? So. It's almost like when you're in school, okay? And then it took me a while to realize this in life. Okay, like you said, we don't have a college degree. But, you know, when I go to places and I talk to people and they say, what? Really? They are surprised because of the way that I talk and, you know, try to get my point over. He got a
lot of stuff in his brain. And he is really smart, but he won't let me tell him that. But I'm just going to say it anyway, and I'm not going to say it no more.
Yeah, well, I don't let that stuff go to my head. You know, hear all of that right there. What I'm saying, what I'm saying is this right here. God gives each one of us a talent, and in different ways. Some may become doctors, lawyers, engineers. You might become, you know, a house cleaner. You may become a ditch digger. But God, you know, no, I understand, you know, when you talk about aspiration. You see, when we leave this world and we go before our good Lord right there, we're going to be stripped of all the trophies, all the certificates, all the awards, all the titles, and our Savior is going to say, have you loved someone? What have you done for someone? So don't let that ego get next to you. I got this degree. I got that degree. God will still get your degree. But when you get those degrees, you look back and behind and help someone else. Use that degree to uplift someone, not just for your own self-gratification right there. Well, look at me. I got my degree. God bless you. You get a degree. I want to see young kids go to school. I want my kids and grandkids to go to school. But I want them to use those degrees to bring someone else up, to make this world a better place. And then whatever you do your job well and treat everybody right. and you're going to be blessed.
Well, that is good information. If you are just now tuning in with us, we have about 8 minutes left on our show. You are listening to Vital Statistics, our youth and young adult talk show right here on WSL Radio, Praise 1490. I'm your host, Shemetris Vital, and joining me is our junior co-host, Sorrel, and we are interviewing for our segment, When Wisdom Speaks, the Martins. And so in the last 8 minutes of our show, I want to ask them, we're going to have like 2 or 3 questions probably to end the show. But one of the things that I know that you guys put a lot of time into is this whole voting thing. A lot of young people don't feel like their vote matters, and they don't feel like it's important. And so I want you guys as quickly as you can to give us some information on why does voting matter? Does our vote really count? Because this is something you guys have really put a lot of your time into, and you guys have lived long enough to be able to know why it's important. Whereas some of us, we came into where we already had the right to vote. We were born into the right to vote, but you guys are actually part of that historical moment of knowing your parents had to fight for those rights and things. So talk to us a little bit about that.
I'm going to make this real plain and clear about voting. I hear so many people say, well, I don't want to vote. My vote don't count. All I want to say is this: if your vote don't count, then you tell me, why are they trying so hard to keep you from voting? Think about that. They're doing everything they can to suppress voters' rights, the gerrymandering and all of this here. It must be something to this here if they don't want you to vote. And when you say my vote don't matter, that's just music to their ears. So that's my spiel on that. It's very important to vote.
I absolutely agree. It's a travesty.
It's very important
for us to have 48,000 residents just in our city alone. And the maximum turnout that we've had is like 2,900 for local elections.
So it must be something to this voting if they're trying to suppress your vote.
Absolutely. If they keep drawing the lines.
I just want you to think about it.
Redrawing the lines and redistricting and making it harder for you to use ID to go vote.
I just want you to stop and think. If they're doing all of this here, it must be something to this voting thing.
They wouldn't try so hard.
Must be something to it.
If your vote didn't count, and it does.
And if they're trying so hard to keep me from voting, that's going to make me try even harder to vote, simply because you're trying to stop me from voting.
That's good advice. Absolutely. Very good advice. Never thought about that, but you're right that if they're trying to keep you from doing something, that should make you really push to want to do it. It's no different than, I guess, young people, let me just bring it home. When your parents give you rules to follow and you push harder and harder not to follow the rules, same thing as what they're basically saying, bringing it home to you with voting, is that if the voting does count, but if they're trying to keep you from voting, then there's a reason why. So it's a reason why your parents give you rules to follow. There's reasons why behind those things. So I'm glad that they gave us that focus that if they're trying to keep you from voting, then that really does mean that your vote does count. And
that should tell them something. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
They need to, the light bulb need to go out and go off in their heads. And they need to come in droves. They need to stand in the lines or come early. I mean, there are 11 days and people waited to the last day. We had 11 days early voting. And we were playing games and doing puzzles, waiting for people to show up. And we had long lines till 9 o'clock that night because they didn't take advantage of Saturday and Sunday voting. And it's just crazy. But anyway, that's
we always wait till the last minute. Okay, so I'm going to ask, let me see, we've got, how much time do we have? Got about 5 minutes. Okay, I want to ask this question here because you guys have children and grandchildren in this time. What do you think, what is your thought on social media?
I think social media is a good thing. It's just like the advent of the computer. It's the way you use it, okay? And then you shouldn't be putting out a lot of negative information out there on social media because this stuff will come back to haunt you. Because if you put things out there that's really not right, later on when you try to go out and get a job somewhere or what have you, it will come back to haunt you. Now, just like during the advent of the computer, look what's happening right now. You got people out there, you know, and even these so-called intelligent, well-educated people, they got all kind of, you know, sex trafficking, porn and stuff they use, you know, on these computers and stuff like this right here. But social media is a good thing. Social media is a good thing to get information across the nation, and particularly to our people, that we can really, you know, band together for various good causes. It's a good thing. It's only how you use it.
And you also have to stay informed, because all social media is not the true facts. Get the information and then research it yourself to make sure that you know what they're saying is true.
And keep
because
all the
the truth is being distorted.
Keep all the gossiping down. And
yeah,
you know, I see pictures, you know, on social media, young folks out there, they're holding up money in their hands and gang signs. And I see, you know, young ladies out there, they're all scantily dressed and posing all kind of, you know, exotic ways, and you are embarrassing yourself. You need to think about this here. You know,
I think they have low self-esteem when they do that. And I use social media to relay information to family members and friends.
And all
other than that, I go in my email, and if I see certain things, I go delete, delete, delete. Oh, okay, I'm gonna check this out. Delete, delete, delete. I pick and choose. But it is a good thing.
And then they show
I love going on my phone and texting 72 family members to say that somebody's sick and need prayers, or somebody died. You know what I'm saying? So,
that's that group me.
Well, group me.
Y'all know about group me?
Yes.
I tell you, millennials.
We know about Duo too. But
yeah, I got Duo on my phone.
Talk face to face with folks once you put your makeup on.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Well, you guys are definitely up with the ages, and that is inspiration. Okay. Sorrel may have one question. Y'all have 1 minute to answer her question. 1 minute.
Lord. Hurry up, Sherelle.
Keep thinking.
Hold on, wait. Let me try to get. So I actually want to ask you this because this is a talk show about sex, waiting, and dating. So I want to ask, what are your thoughts on waiting to have sex until marriage? That's my journey right now. I'm on the purity journey, and I am waiting for marriage to have sex until God gifts me with that right person. So what are your thoughts on that?
My thought is you just keep on keeping on, and don't you worry about somebody tell you and to do this or do that. You're doing the right thing. You follow your own mind, your conscience right there, and you will be all right.
They had this article, Ann Landers, you know, in the newspaper. And this guy wrote and said, I am ready to get married, and I've been looking for a virgin, and I can't find one. And she said, if you hadn't had so many women and, you know, prove your love to me, she said it might have been a whole lot of virgins left. So he just played around, and then when he wanted to get married, he wanted a decent girl to marry, even though he had slept with many. And she said, had you left them alone and not, you know, prodded them until they gave in to you, then maybe you would have some choices.
And I'm proud of you, and I support you. And absolutely. If you got any friends who want to kind of nudge you or laugh at you, that's not your friend.
Our oldest daughter and son-in-law actually
better friends.
Teach celibacy to young adults, college students. They used to do that when they lived in College Station. So they taught celibacy, and it does work. Yeah.
So you just keep on keeping on.
Absolutely.
And I'm real proud of you.
If some of y'all are out there having sex, stop. You would be surprised how your life. Stop doing it. You can. I know couples who have, young couples. So stop and concentrate on God, and let God and wait on him to send you the man or woman that he chose for you, that he has for you.
Well, amen to that. And guys, if you are just tuning in, I just want to say thank you. This is WSL Radio, our youth and young adult talk show, Vital Statistics. Your host, Shemetris Vital, my junior co-host, Sorrel, and my interviewees for the day, Mr. and Mrs. Martin, who have been married over 50 years. 5 children, 12 grandchildren, but they're granny and poppy to a whole lot of us that are not their biological kids. But nonetheless, I want to thank them so much for joining us just in this segment to give us their wisdom. And I don't have to ask them an infamous question about, you know, being the founder of Why Not Wait? What is it? What is your thoughts on waiting? Because they told us, you know what? It's okay to wait on God. You know, it's okay. There's nothing wrong with waiting. So trust God in everything that you do. And guess what? He will bless you as he sees fit. This has been such a blessed interview. Hopefully at some other point, we'll be able to bring you guys back on and talk about something else, to the Martins and to Sorrel. So if you guys just tell everyone goodbye and thank you, we can go home.
Yeah, but I want to give you my address and phone number. My birthday gift.
God's peace and joy to all of you.
25th of next month, you know, my birthday, you know, anyhow, you know, God bless y'all. Y'all keep on. Yeah. Y'all gonna make a change in the world and make this world a whole lot better.
Yes,
okay?
Please.
God bless y'all.
Yay.
Amen.
Thank y'all so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
All right, I'm going to Popeyes now.
You going to